everyone. Thank you for tuning into Fireside Streams. My name is Melissa Hago, and I'm the VP and Creative Director of Beauty and Wellness at Fashion Snoops. I'm pleased to be with a very special guest today, Doreen Coutelin, founder of GEYED. GEYED is a conscious bodywear that adapts to your emotional flux. It's rooted in self-awareness and designed around the 7 chakras with internal crystal pockets so you can wear, trade, and swap crystals to keep your energy balanced and your intentions on point. Today, I'm going to be speaking with her in reference to our fall-winter sentiment, harmony. To tell you a little bit about harmony, we're seeing a return to the basics as consumers pare down excess to really make space for positivity, grace, and healing. The pandemic has created an extreme pendulum of boredom and monotony, contrasted by pain, stress, and overwork, confusing our senses and natural patterns. Looking to break free from these harmful patterns, we slowly bring life back to a gentle stability, energizing our souls when we need encouragement and soothing our senses when we crave calm. As introspection encourages us to realign our purpose, we seek the weightless radiance of a happy medium of life lived in perfect harmony. Doreen and her work personify this sentiment so perfectly, and I am more than delighted to welcome her to our Fireside Streams. Hi, Doreen. Such an honor to be speaking with you.
Hello, my dear. Nice to be here. Thank you so much for having me. Hello, everyone.
Great. So, let's get started with this. Can you tell us a little bit more about GEYED and what really inspired you to create this brand?
Oh my gosh. Okay. This is the thing when you go back into time. So 7 years ago was my first attempt at GEYED when GEYED didn't exist. So I went through a divorce 7 years ago that put me on a track where I lost my sense of self. I lost my identity. I lost everything. So you see, this is like therapy every time. I'm like, okay, hold in. Okay, all right. So my vision board's right there. So 7 years ago, those I have, which I could show you, but all the pictures of all the emotions I was going through at the time. And what GEYED really is at the time, I really thought like I didn't know where I was going. And I had 2 young daughters and God damn it, you see? And I was clearly not okay when people were asking me like, are you okay? What's going on? They knew I was going through the divorce. And it was really obvious at the time, like that I was going through something, but I couldn't explain it. So a friend of mine had actually introduced me to the world of Reiki. So at the time, she's like, you really need to go see this Reiki master. And I'm like, what the hell is that? And so when you need something and you're willing to try new things. And at the time I worked through a lot of bad doors and a lot of good doors, but this was the door that I walked into that I now call home. I met a woman who was my Reiki practitioner at the time. She laid me down on the bed and she placed crystals over my 7 chakras, which I didn't know what they were at the time. I didn't know what the hell she was doing. I was just like, oh my God. And she did the energy healing over each of my points. And it was the weirdest thing because I had never experienced it, so I didn't know what I thought about it. But afterwards, she said a lot of things to me, which I know we don't have much time here, but one of them was, you feel like you don't have a home. It was the first time somebody actually explained to me verbally what I couldn't explain for myself, and that was true. So from 7 years to now, I've literally used the chakra method through bringing myself back to life. And my main mission then was, I was building GEYED as if I was dying. Like, if I were to leave, my daughters don't have a father, how can I speak to them if I'm not here? So GEYED, so this is my daughter 7 years ago. This was my first attempt at GEYED. I wrote all the emotions on her body. And I didn't know what I was doing at the time, but I would write little stories on how they should feel. It's okay to have these emotions. So that's kind of where I got the idea from. But I've used energy healing with different practitioners. I mean, it's just amazing what I've learned. And so that's where I got the idea. But as I kept using this product, which wasn't a product, it's crystals and you have your own chakras, everybody has their own system. I learned about my own chakra system. So I learned that at that time, my root chakra was really, really blown, and I didn't know what that meant. It meant I was insecure and always felt like I didn't have money because I felt like I was abandoned, which was true. But then I learned to like balance that. And so I know anytime I'm worried, I know exactly which chakra it is. So today is a different story. I'm no longer in that space. I don't think I've worked to a place where I don't go back there. I've kicked ass in business because I know when I get a really awful client and you have to make the money anyway, it's like learning to work with your emotions to get them to see too. So I talk to them in chakra jargon, but so I've just used it and used it and used it. But GEYED didn't come into fruition until 2 years ago. I got to save money, and then I was able to say, okay, well, like I'm not the only one where crystals are falling out of my bra, and I'm not the only one where I'm taking off clothes, crystals are falling out, or putting crystals in my bags. And so I thought it needed to exist. So here we are.
I love it. I love that you said that, because I feel the same way. Like I take stuff out of my bag. I'm like, coins, money, oh, crystals, you know.
And it's almost like, Melissa, I thought, it's not like I was looking up and I'm like, ooh, everybody likes crystals. I really was minding my own business and doing my own shit, building and building and building, using my vision boards and just going along my way. And when I got here 7 years later, which is now, and I start looking up and people like you find me, I'm like, holy cow, like people, this is trending like crazy, but I just want to make sure that like what GEYED performs for people is a service. And I think that the service is more important. Like right now, yes, they're clothing. Yes, I've made them functional. They make complete sense when it comes to a practitioner knows what they're doing. Like you don't have to sit down or lay down on a bed. You can hang upside down if you want. Okay, you can go to your yoga classes if you want. You can go to energy healing, and they're right there with you and in the specific spots. So do you have any questions for me? I feel like I'm all over.
No, it's all good. Can you actually tell us more about the piece from your Truth collection? And I think you have some, right behind you. So I think it'd be great for the audience to kind of see how it works, how the crystals are infused into the clothing. So yeah, if you can kind of walk us through some of those pieces, that would be great.
I'm gonna start off by saying that it's 2 years ago is when I actually got the opportunity to build GEYED. So when I sat here and I said, okay, like, what do I want this to be? At the time, I felt like now I tell this story. I get to tell the story over and over and over and over and over. And at the time, no one knew. I mean, even when I left 7 years ago, I used to work for counterintelligence. I left a really good job. I left everything. My parents didn't know I was building GEYED. My parents didn't even know what I was doing. No one knew what I was up to. Like, they just probably thought I was just doing had bad decisions, but I wasn't. I was really on point and on cue. So the Truth collection was being able to speak my truth. So I made the colors in the throat chakra, which is speak your truth, and the third eye chakra, which was I know my vision. Like I know where I'm taking my life and I know what I'm doing. Like, and again, it's all in here. I know, like I can see where it's going, and I don't need to speak to anybody to tell them what I'm doing. I'm just going to head full force into this because I know that if I were to speak, which I tried like maybe 6 years ago to tell somebody my idea, and all I would hear is that's stupid, or that's this, that's all the negative things that I didn't need to hear. So I imagined what I would want, and the basics would have had to be the chakra points. I mean, on each of the clothings on the garments, you have a crystal pocket over each one of the chakras, because there's a book out there and it's called the 5 Languages of Love. Okay, 5 Languages of Love. Everybody knows that book. Okay, he was a therapist that came across these, no like real database against it. Like there's no real facts, but for the chakras, it's the 7 energy points of your emotions. And this shit is real. Okay, this shit is real. I didn't make this up. I didn't say, oh, like that's a cool idea. I read books, I educated myself, and I said, how the hell does this product not exist? I see big brands tippy-toeing around it. They'll balance chakras in different ways of like movement. They'll say certain things in their ads. I saw a Budweiser commercial saying something about spirituality. Like they're all tippy-toeing around it. But I really feel like if they're not in the space, which it blows my mind that this wasn't invented in before. And I think the last time we had spoke, they said because a man wasn't in our field, right? So I'll be that man. And here I am. This product exists for a reason, and I want the audience to be curious, to go and look up chakras, look how they affect the nervous system, look how they affect your organs. They are a real thing. They affect your emotions. So, okay, all right, hone me back in here. So behind one of these tabs, you're going to pull it out. It's color coordinated to each one of the chakras. So behind here, this is the heart chakra. And so it's green back there. And I paired each one of the crystals. So we have the card that tells you a little bit about the company, the crystal guide that tells you exactly about the crystal, because when you become a crystal expert, which you don't need to be an expert, all you need to do is read what I told you to do. And again, I didn't make these things up. So a girl that I follow, our lady, is Judy Hall, and she has the crystal prescriptions. She talks about crystals. I really didn't want to make this any harder than what it is. Like, I've just picked up all the pieces and put them in one place and made a product that people, instead of just reading about it, you can actually utilize it now. And that's like the world that I want. Like, I'm tired of reading, because you read, you put the book down and it like disappears in your thought. Well, today I'm dealing with an emotion concerned with my daughter. So I'm wearing it right now. So that's always my reminder too, when she's in front of me and being disrespectful, I'm like, okay, have sympathy for her, know where she's coming from, but don't give myself away because she's been being manipulating. You know what I mean? Like, she's telling me.
Can you change the crystals, or kind of the same color each time in each placement?
So some crystals aren't the same, like aren't color coordinated. So this is a jasper, Dalmatian jasper. So this goes on your solar plexus. You wouldn't know because it's not yellow, but there's tons of books that we have researched and that we've picked accordingly. So I didn't make up the meanings. The meanings are what the meanings are. So this one is like, which is funny. I use this one. It's actually for the solar plexus. And the other day I put it in my heart. And since I'm dealing with my daughter, I literally was at the gym and I started crying, and it was like, I could imagine her at 4 years old when she thought that I didn't love her. And I was literally playing with her, like in my mind. That's where it went. So I got to release that emotion, which I thought was funny because I'm like, you know, these things, interesting things happen. So you can swap them out. Yes. So crystals are coordinated to, so this one's green aventurine. So it's green. So it's meant for the heart. Here's red jasper, that's meant for the root, which is red. Carnelian which is orange. And so crystals, you can find lots of, I mean, it's trending. Crystals are everywhere. But what GEYED does is they're usually tumbled, which is round. What we do is we have them sliced and then polished, so that way they fit within the pocket. So, sorry, did you have any more questions on that one before I could run away with this?
Oh, yeah, no, I think this is great. And especially what you said, you know, at Fashion Snoops, we've been writing about crystals for who knows how many years. And I think what's interesting is to see the shift on how it's changing. You know, first it was like, oh, I learned about, you know, amethyst and maybe rose quartz and what it does. And then I'd buy a big stone. So to see it actually incorporated in the garment and like so close to, you know, the chakra, because I think for a lot of times it's like you would just have it on display, or like maybe if you did a session, then you'd have them placed on you. But for the most part, people don't really place the crystals on them. So I think that's what, you know, really caught my attention from your collection and from what you do, is that you're actually kind of wearing the crystal. So yeah, no, I think it would be really interesting to learn a little bit more about the placements and the different crystals. The way you're going, you're fine.
All right. And you nailed it too. It's like, that's what I thought. I was like, why are people putting crystals in their purses and everywhere else, right? We're throwing them, I'm taping them to place. It's just because it didn't exist. So I did see the need there. I'm like, and that was my root. I was like, oh my God, is it a big enough niche? Do people are going to be, so I blew that out of the water. Like I literally, I didn't know I'd pop up when everything was trending, but that's not my job to really educate on. And this is where it's weird, because I feel like I talk less about the clothing and more about how to utilize and where your emotions are, because without the emotions, you don't need the suit. I feel like when you put the suit on, it clicks to each one of your chakras, and then you get to decide, like per crystal, how you want to manipulate it today. What energy do you want to manipulate it with? So it's exchanging whatever you're dealing with. And before, 7 years ago, I was always balancing on the roots. So I'm wearing the these are the Protect leggings. And so back to a little bit of the design. So the design is more feminine because I thought I'm tired of having a line going down my crotch. So I'm like, didn't jeans come up with that? Like some Levi Strauss, come on, we should change things. So I've also changed a little bit of design too, like just more feminine. Everything means something though. Like the V is for a feminine flow. So allowing you to release emotions. Everything about GEYED was intentional. It's intentional down to the detailing of the, like even just the logo. I make sure that the EYE stands out before anything else because it is about the vision. If you can't see your next steps forward, you're just going through life. And that's kind of like today alone, I see 7 years ago when I was just down, my daughter 7 years later, which I met with a guide then, and things have come out exactly how they said. So when I said I was building GEYED for my daughters, it really is a guide for them. And if it can help other people along the way, great. But like it truly is, in case they don't want to talk to me, like my oldest one thinks she's like, you're the worst. And I'm like, you know what I'm doing for you? Like, do you know? And she's like, no. I'm like, okay, yeah, you're right. But so that's what it is. It's meant for me to hold my shit together when they need me. And I've had to be strong for a lot of people. So this is my therapy for me. So.
And so do you recommend, like, do you just wear it to work out, or like, do you wear it?
Oh my God. If I could have all my collections out right now, I would. There's just not, I have to also think business like now too, because I feel like I want to save the world emotionally. And in order to do that, I have to have my shit together. I've come so far. GEYED actually exists. I can't believe it. It's actually out there. I can't believe I'm even on here. So I'm so grateful to you. But no, I think in my mind, everybody needs to know. Like we have a second platform, which hasn't hit yet. It's going to come out in 3 months, and it's all about our 7 guides. So in my mind, mentally, I think, okay, where have I been and where am I going? So when I was divorced, so one of our guides is all about divorce. She's an attorney and a coach. Then we have a breakup therapist. We have a psychologist for kids. We have anxiety and mental depression. We have, so all these guides. So we have 7 of them. And that's because how do you go through life without guidance? You know what I mean? Like I'm strong enough to guide and lead a lot of things, but I wasn't here before. Like I got here and I know it was through this, and I know I'll get through this and I'll get my daughter through this too. But the thing is you have to be open. If you're not open, then like, it's like talking to somebody and saying the same thing and nothing changes. It's because they're not open to that change. So I'm not here to convince anybody of anything. I've built a product. If they're curious enough to figure it out or want help, ask away. Go to my personal account, go to my Instagram, go to my Facebook. That's what I'm here for. So if I'm emotional today, like I live in emotion, and I wouldn't change it for the world. So this is where I'm at.
I love it. And speaking of kind of like the transparency and vulnerability, how do you expect the consumers to kind of relate to wellness going forward, especially in this post-pandemic reality? I feel like, we've seen people be more open to mental health, and people being, even with spirituality, was something that wasn't maybe talked about a few years ago. It was kind of like woo-woo, and now like we're seeing people being accepting it more, like looking for it more, really encompassing this mind, body, soul, not just the body. I would just love to hear, your take of how do you see your consumer or other new consumers, how they're going to relate to wellness in the future.
Yeah. What's interesting is since I didn't create this out of like, oh, it's a cool thing, I created it out of what you just explained: hurt, pain, my depression. But that was 7 years ago. So I don't think it just happened now. I think that a lot of people have been going through stress in their lives everywhere. And there's products. I mean, that's why yoga exists. That's why, I don't know what else exists. And this is where I stick. But if there isn't something else there that people are seeking and they do need help, that's what I want GEYED to be about. It is a platform clothes because it connects with the emotion. But seriously, the second part is so important, the education. The fact that somebody can sit down with you and explain to you why you're feeling this way. Why are you or giving yourself away? Why do you feel stuck? So that's super important. But I'm going to read to you, if you don't mind.
No, of course.
And only because you literally, if we would have talked last week, you would have had a different scenario, but this is what's happened today. So back to my daughter. Like, I said this 7 years ago, or maybe 6 years ago, and I said, I want to build all of this so strong, because I was tired of hearing my parents say, oh, you're neglecting the girls, you're not around, which granted I was not, but because I was building bigger things. So I said to myself this, once you get there, you're going to build so hard so that when you get there, you're not going to worry about money or where you're headed. Like, you're going to be solid, so that way you can be a nosy, hovering mother. This is that time. Oh, damn it. So my daughter wrote this poem, which I was super impressed with and sad at the same time. But I'm going to read it. And this is what I mean by, you asked, where do I think consumers are going? If my 12-year-old can write me this is where I think adults are thinking too. She said, the actual meaning is nothing, but it's everything. It's lonely nights against a cold bathroom floor. It's the depths of an ocean, not being able to find your way back to shore, drowning. It's like walking for miles and miles. Sorry. And feeling as if you get nowhere. It's laying in bed, staring at the ceiling fan, and getting caught in an iridescent circular motion. But most of all, it's watching others enjoy what you never will. It's just empty. So exactly what she wrote is exactly how I felt then. So if I can get myself together, it's my job to educate her on how she could do it too. And not through words. I don't need to use my voice. I've written things and I leave little things, and she goes to, the coolest thing she's done is she stills my crystals. I can pretty much see what she's going through. So I do think that people are screaming for help. I think they've always been screaming, and with depression and hurt, the scream isn't out loud. It's inside. No one knows. So if this can be their way to help themselves without saying much, then I've done my job. So that's my job.
Love that. And that was so beautiful. And I mean, I'm super emotional. Pisces.
I'm telling you.
I can cry here with you. But what I think about what is great, even you reading that poem, is that, we've seen so much trauma, and it's like trauma through the pandemic, trauma, ancestral trauma of like what we get passed down to us, even the life we live, there's so much trauma. So I love what you said, where like, you can know what she's feeling through what crystals she picks. And exactly. I almost see that as like the future of wellness. It's like, okay, maybe I don't want to speak. We say it's good to speak your emotions, but some people have a hard time speaking. So maybe it is just picking a few crystals and someone being like, okay, I understand, or I know what you're going through, or like, help you in that way. So I think, finding other ways, like, and we've seen it through maybe like sound baths, just like other ways of like wellness and healing that's comfortable for people. It doesn't always have to be about voicing what you feel, because some people it's hard. It's like you voice stuff and you start to cry and you
exactly. So, and that's your 7 emotions. They exist. There's energy points. Please go be curious. You're gonna amaze yourself. Seriously, from even a business standpoint, I'm willing to sacrifice everything just because I know that this, and just one last story, like this happened too. I was pushing so hard for GEYED to exist. And everything that could go wrong has gone wrong. And this was supposed to be out a long time ago, and every manufacturer had kicked us out. Pockets are super hard to make, which I was gonna show you, but we're probably running out of time. Like, I've gone through how to make this perfect for the person, right? But I got really, really sick back in December, and I literally thought I was gonna die. From a Friday, I was dead, like emotionally willing to give up, just done. And I remember talking to my sister, and I said, whatever you do, it wasn't take care of my kids. It was make sure GEYED gets out there. like just make sure GEYED gets out there, because in there, how depressed I was feeling, I didn't want to live, I was sick as, and that's how people live. Like, you just don't know the struggle. So if I could feel that and create, again, color soothing, crystal healing, all the healings, then that's what I'm going to do.
So what's, I mean, I guess our last question would then be, you know, following that, what's your future vision for GEYED?
Yes. So GEYED, when I'm not dealing with like my heart is blown wide open right now, I feel like I'm in a breakup with my daughter and I'm like trying not to give myself away. But when I'm honed in, which I will be, GEYED has huge plans. So what I imagine for GEYED is I'm creating the world that I wish exists. And I know that the world today is dying. Like it's just changing out, and it's weird to say that. Sorry if I'm like offending anybody, but it is. But I'm creating for the new world. So if it is about healing, this is what's going to exist. If it's another platform that exists in healing, that's going to exist. There's 2 spin-offs. One's called Mesh and the other one's called Merge. And we'll talk about another time, but I have no plans to stop. It makes complete sense. If I can have a world where humans could interact in certain ways, then goddamn, I'm going to be the one that brings it in.
I love it. I love it. And, you know, I would have to say to everyone, I mean, I have a few of the pieces here. They're, besides being spiritual and having these cool ways to connect to your wellness, they're just so beautiful. I like love, like you mentioned, the colors, how they relate to the throat and the chakra, the third eye. So I think you've created an amazing product, something completely innovative. And, you know, you're such a beautiful soul. It's like such, I like the saying, I wish we could talk about this forever because there's just so much to learn. Like we're learning, humanity's learning, you know, all just trying to heal. Like I think heal is a super important word that you also mentioned. So I love that. And I love, you know, I can't wait to see what else you create, because what you've already created is so beautiful and has our attention. So super excited for that.
Thank you so much. And just FYI too, it is a premium product. Everything about it is custom. If you go out and you look at other companies and they all look alike, it's cheaper to look alike. So I didn't realize that either. But like I said, I'm not skimping. What I imagine is going to happen. And if it takes a little longer, then it takes longer. But here we are.
Well, thank you again, Doreen. Thank you, everyone. And for anyone who wants more information, you know, please follow the GEYED at thegeyed.com. Follow their Instagram, and you can check out all the beautiful pieces, look at the crystals, and I'll be speaking more to the GEYED during Trend Immersion. But thank you again for joining on this fireside stream, and hopefully we'll chat again soon.
Thank you so much, my dear. I appreciate it so much.